Good evening. If you'd like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the City Council to order and ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosherak.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Here.
Councilmember Ruiz. Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Here. Council has before them the minutes of the regular meeting of May 23rd. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as submitted?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford and Pemberton. Thank you. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion passes. We have one presentation this evening. The clerk will read presentation 1, please.
Chief Joseph Platzer will introduce the city's 6 new police officers: William Hobby, Chelsea Cohen, Rebecca McAuliffe, Caleb Paul, Brianna Steinbauer, and Nathan Tomlinson.
All right, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and City Council. Just like to introduce our 6 new police officers. It's been a while since I've been here, and just so you can put some names to faces. So first of all, Officer Kane. She's a Port Huron Northern graduate. She went to Minnesota on a college sports scholarship, worked several years in Minnesota as a police officer, and then recently returned home to her hometown to be a police officer. Officer Hobby went to Yale High School, went to play sports out of state, returned to the area. He worked as a deputy with the Macomb County Sheriff's Office for several years, and then is now with our department. Officer McAuliffe. Rebecca worked as a cadet with the White Lake Police Department and spent many years while growing up in the Blue Water area watching her dad play softball here at Pine Grove Park. And that's what drew her to the area. She put in her application, and we're fortunate to have her here working for our agency. Officer Tomlinson, Port Huron Northern graduate. He's worked for us as a police cadet for several years. He attended the Oakland Police Academy, and it was nice that we were able to pay for Officer Tomlinson's academy through the Hometown Hero program. Officer Steinbauer was a police cadet for us for approximately 2 years, and she recently graduated from the Oakland Police Academy 2 weeks ago. And actually, this is her first night on road patrol this evening with Officer Peck. And then Officer Paul was a police cadet for us for over a year, recently graduated for the Oakland Police Academy, and his first night was this past Saturday. So I just want to welcome them to our department, welcome them to the family, wanted to introduce them to all of you.
Chief,
Thank you.
Chief, I'd just like to just say,
Hang on a second.
hey, attention.
He dismissed him.
Okay. You know, I know you all look so fine and everything, and I like the spirit of this and the emphasis behind it, the homegrown. I heard Port Huron Northern, you're here, and you came back home to serve it and everything. And I know that you still do a good job. You know, when we diversify, I know you've been working on that, and I want to encourage you to keep working on that to help make that difference there. But looking forward to, just gauging all you. Don't be stopping me for no traffic because I'll go 40 anyway. So, but anyway, well, congratulations to all of you personally, because we got a big job out there. Just like Chief was telling us, it's going to be a long, hot summer. So.
Best of the best is right standing in front of you. This is the future of the Port Huron Police Department.
The future. Yeah.
If you don't mind coming up, we'd all like to shake your hands and welcome you aboard.
There you go.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can go around. Yeah, go here. Okay.
We will now move to public comments. Before we begin, I know there are a lot of you in the audience tonight that want to discuss the fire station. You're certainly welcome to come up and talk about that, but prior to that, I've asked Mr. Freed if he would give a statement.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. So I was surprised to learn about the fire station chatter around the community about the possibility of closing Station 4. I want to be very clear, there are absolutely no plans to close Station 4. That's a critical part of our 3 fire station model. We have, in a study we did, we're working on the renovations for Station 3, and then we're also working on the possibility of building a new central station. One of the things is Central Station has the capacity that if budgetary constraints presented themselves again, we could move to a 2-model system. It doesn't mean we will. So whether or not we build a new central station or not, we're doing that because the current central station is structurally deficient, and 2 different engineering firms have told us it's no longer worthy of taxpayer money to keep investing in. If we construct a new station, that does not mean that Station 4 will close. It is our intention to maintain a 3 fire system model that may require us to hire additional firefighters to meet the staffing needs. We're like now we have a couple retirements coming up. We're going to have to boost roster strength to maintain our minimum staffing that we have now, to maintain a 3-system model, but that is the intention. There is no plans to do so. There's some chatter about the possibility we would make Station 4 a community center. That's not even possible. That station was built as a fire station. It doesn't meet building code to use it as a community center, whether it's ADA bathrooms, fire suppression, exits. It's no longer adequate to be a community center. So there are no plans to make it a community center. So to be very clear, the upgrades to Station 3 have to be done no matter what, because that station has not been upgraded since the 60s. The possible construction of a new central fire station is because our current central fire station is literally collapsing. We have 2 engineering reports, you can download it online, that shows the structural deficiencies within that facility. When we build, if we build a new central fire station, it does not mean that Station 4 will close. There are no plans to close Station 4. The mayor and council have not authorized us to even begin looking at that. We recognize the geographical, based on the GIS data for response times, that is a far-reaching area of the city. It plays a critical role in mutual aid to Marysville, and vice versa. And so, just want you to know right now, there are no plans to close it. Before we ever even looked at that, if we even did, we would hold public engagement sessions. We would talk to the community, find out what they're looking for before we would ever do that. So what I've seen from your input, you are correct. It's critical to response times. It's critical to the industrial park. Everything that you guys have said, that the emails and the communications I've gotten is 100% true. And we agree with you. That's why we take this very seriously. So there are no plans to close Station 4, whether or not we construct a new central station or not. And if we ever even looked at that, which I don't even know if we would be years out. It's important to note that when we went to the community for the public safety millage, we promised a minimum staffing of 32 firefighters and 3 stations. We will fulfill that pledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freed.
Mayor, I know we got to get to it on the agenda, but tonight we do have the fire on it. Can you just explain that?
Yep, tonight is just the upgrades to Station 3 that have to be done no matter what. I just got a photo today and a video today of hundreds of gallons of water pooling on the roof of that station because it's structurally deficient. So we have to address the needs at Station 3 to make sure that, and it's also was built before we had female firefighters. There's no co-ed bathrooms, it's all just one big thing, and so we need to split that up and bring it up to 21st century standards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, we still welcome you to come to the podium to speak if you'd like to on that or something you heard. This is the time for public comment. You are able to speak on anything on the agenda or within our jurisdiction. You have 4 minutes. Start with your name and address.
Yes, good evening. Ken Harris, 1521 Wall Street, Port Erie, Michigan. A few years ago, I sat up there where you guys are sitting here tonight, and the discussion on the fire department in South Park is not something that has never been mentioned before. And I think what we have to do is look at some of the things the issue was, because I went back and looked at some of the things, and in the Times Herald on April 1st of 2017, they talked about how the problems we're having with the fire department and localities and things like that. June 15th of 2015, there was another article. But I was trying to narrow it down, because the one evening I was sitting up here in city council, and as we were discussing some of these positions with our safety officer at that time, Mr. Reeves, was the fact that people were going through our neighborhoods. Mrs. Donna Taylor called me up before I come to the meeting that night and said, "What's the deal? You guys are closing down the South End Fire Station." I said, "No, that's not going to happen. It's not been on the agenda." But this is not something that's new. Whenever you threaten what's going to happen to the city of Port Huron, whether it's north, south, east, or west, it affects everybody. And I think that, what we got to do is you have to rely on your paper. The paper don't get everything right, but if you can go back and you look in the archives and you see some of the things that basically keep this thing from getting to a way that we don't want to hurt the people. The biggest thing is coverage. And like I say, pick up the Times Herald, go to the archives, and look at some of this stuff. It's interesting, and it's well worth your while. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council members. My name is Sony Williams. I live at 3984 Brookstone Place. When I first learned of, as you just said, the chatter that you were going to close Station 4, the chatter had to come from somewhere. It just didn't, blow up like a balloon. There it is. Came from somewhere. So that alarmed a lot of people because we live in South Park. Everything that's being done in the city of Port Huron, which I love, when I leave this world, I'm going to be right here, is nothing being done in South Park. Nothing. I mean, we got the little splash pad, he's on the timer. Nothing is truly being done. The roads up that way are being taken care of, being smoothed out. But just as well as in South Park, our roads are so raggedy, you get tired of getting a front end alignment. They do the roads, they come there, they patch it up, they just put it in the hole, and then they keep on going for the cars to bump it in the holes. That's not how it's supposed to go. They're supposed to put it in the hole, pat it down. If it's somewhat left, put some more in there. Our cars shouldn't have to pat it down. Port Huron, we are proud of Port Huron. Because if we wasn't proud of Port Huron, we wouldn't be here today to speak on what is going on. Engine 4, it has to stay. I don't care what y'all say, what y'all think y'all might say, what y'all think y'all might do. That station has to stay for as long as any of our young kids are on this earth. You have too many apartment complexes around there. You have senior complexes. People live upstairs. The senior complex is upstairs. For the summertime, you all know that the boats, the people with these yachts, these rich folks with their yachts and everything, they got to come through. You got 10th Street Bridge, you have 7th Street Bridge, and you have Quay Street Bridge. So if our engine had to come from that way, what hope do we have? We have none. So it's time for the council and Port Huron to think about the people, because there's no progress in South Park at all. None. I've been here almost 64 years. The things we used to do in Port Huron, it can't happen. And that's not fair. But everything is done that way. So come down there, because y'all do not live down there. We live down there. You need to respect us that live down down there. Now, one of y'all have a home down there. You probably wouldn't live down there. But we deserve the respect and the right to have just what they have up there. We can have it down here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Please bear with me because I do have issues with my eyesight. I'm going to read what I wrote. Good evening, council members. My name is Shelly Seitz. I reside on Ashland Court on the south side of Port Huron. I moved here in December 2021 from Marysville, Michigan. Since moving to Port Huron, I have been questioned so much as to why I would move from Marysville to Port Huron. Just like every city in America, they all have good and bad things to say about them. Some of the good things I can say about Port Huron is the community spirit. I have met several wonderful residents while going door to door for signatures for those against the closing of Fire Station Number 4. I witnessed passion about how important Fire Station Number 4 is to the residents residing around the station. I also witnessed dismay and anger against the mayor, city council, and city manager for trying to pull the wool over the residents' eyes on the south side. Out of all the signatures Michelle and I gathered, only one person knew about the consolidation of Central and Number 4. I put an asterisk next to her name, and we have all the signatures right there. I know that many in Port Huron look down on the south side because we do have a larger population of low-income residents. We do have several low-income residential, senior living, and multifamily homes. Those are the residents that are most vulnerable. Our last census states that 19.2% of our population under the age of 65 are disabled. 23.5% of our residents live in poverty. I am part of the most vulnerable group. I have been diabetic for 22 years, disabled since 2011. My diabetes has led to a rare neurological disorder. Others in my household have disabilities as well. One of the reasons why I bought my home instead of moving to the country is that the fire station is nearby and so are the hospitals. While collecting signatures, I saw residents with central lines, oxygen tanks, canes, walkers, and a couple with Down syndrome. This is what I could see, but I'm sure there are those that are suffering with mental illness, autoimmune, heart disease, cancer, and other diseases and disorders that cannot be seen. Several of the local residents do not own vehicles. That is why we have the Blue Water Transit system. So in emergency, they count on Station 4 because they are the first to respond to the majority of the time because they are close by. They have helped countless residents in the homes surrounding the station. Unfortunately, drugs are a major issue in every community, but especially in the larger cities, it rears its head every day. Its ugly head, every day we see it. Countless residents told me stories of how often Station 4 comes to their complex over overdose calls. Some even told me that they keep Narcan in their homes because it happens so much in their complex. So every second counts, not minutes. If you close Station Number 4 in Central so that they are combined at the new location on 10th, you will be adding minutes, causing delayed response times. Lives will be lost, homes will be lost. We have the largest volume of homes that are 100 plus years old on the south side, and a good amount of them have been turned into multifamily homes. They are tinder boxes, so delayed response will lead to more homes being a complete loss. What happens if the trucks at the new station on 10th are all out on calls? Who comes to the rescue? The Sanborn location? That would be at least a 15-minute delay in response times. We all know what a nightmare Pine Grove is. Then we have Industrial Park, which during operating hours increases our population and traffic. They may not be residents, but they rely on timely emergency response times, just as those that travel from other cities like Marysville to go to Fort Gratiot and beyond. So it's imperative that
Excuse me, Shelley. I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Ingram, 3203 Ashland Court, Port Huron. I just want to direct the first couple things to Mr. Freed. There were a few responses to emails, and where I understand some of your responses were no plans or that's a lie. So it kind of came back on us like, what? He's calling us a lie. Like, You know, we're not trying to create this, oh, that's a city council and we're here. We want a discussion. For us, it was a surprise. And after speaking with Jackie and stuff, Times Herald, and she said, you know, we did an article in December 2021, we did this. Honestly, we didn't see it. We didn't know. The last time we knew anything about the fire department was our millage was passed. That's what we knew to save our fire department. That's the last thing we knew of. Should we have been here? I'm sorry, COVID, everything else, maybe that was part of the gap. So we're not trying to have this, oh, let's argue with, you know, but this is, I just want to read a few things, because when you say no plans, okay. Fireapparatusmagazine.com, December 14th, 2021. Headline, Port Huron, Michigan approves $472,000 station design plan. The agreement is part of a plan that aims to combine Port Huron's Central and South End stations at White Park. And I know, I'm just reading parts of it, and I do know that it's still dependent on the 2 or 3 model. But to say there's no plans, you could say you're in a planning stage maybe, or we don't know for sure, we're not definitive, but to make it seem like we're creating stuff. BlueWaterHealthyLiving.com, June 2nd of 2022, Office of the Fire Chief. The City of Port Huron and the Port Huron Fire Department had conducted studies and structural functional assessments of facilities and response times. To clarify, Station 4 would only close if a new Southside station at White Park was constructed and the fire department converted its operations to a 2-station service model. So again, we understand if the 2 service part. But again, to say no plans were present, that's not quite true. So to say we're stirring up stuff in the community and making comments that we want to make sure the residents are getting the right idea. ConstructionJournal.com. This is where they put bids for jobs and stuff, right? Let me see, project title, Construction Manager, Port Huron Fire Department, Fire Station. Description, construction to perform a full range of pre-construction, construction management, and post-construction services for the construction of a new White Park Fire Station. So we want some discussion. We didn't see the Times Herald. How many do? It's $3. Sorry, we didn't know about the meetings. Sorry if that wasn't part of our agenda here. We did not know, but now we do. We understand about Central. That wasn't our argument. We understand it's falling apart. We understand it's not functional. But to say everything here, saying about if this is done, the plan could be the consolidation. So it didn't just come from nowhere. So we need an honest conversation. And we really don't appreciate being told that we're liars. So that's it. And again, these are just some of the voices that we talked to. And everybody was like, what? About the fire station. They had no clue. So we did not see this possible consolidation. And again, every headline says plan. And I don't think you would have spent that much money.
Excuse me, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. But this is for the fire department and everything else. I mean, in South Park, period. Hello, my name is Cynthia Bankston, 3024 Thornhill Court, Port Huron, Michigan. I'm commenting regarding the rumor of number 4 fire station closing at 3114 24th Street. I emailed all city council members, mayor and city manager. James Freed were the only ones that responded back. I'm just going to read my thing that I sent. I said, I heard about a plan to take number 4 fire station on South Side, 3114 24th Street away again. We on South Side want our fire station and crew to remain. We have many seniors, children, and disabled people who need immediate help in the area. We don't want a community center in its place. Why don't you partner with Tyrone Burrells and Sons to help and build a community center on the property on 16th Street? Blah, blah, blah. Put community on agenda and the support of keeping our fire station where it is. Our minds haven't changed. And this is a reply from Pauline Rep, the mayor. I see that James Freed had already responded to your email. As he said, no firm plans have been made and there's not a plan for a community center. And one from James Freed says, thank you for your email. There are currently no plans to close Station 4. There's also no plan to make it a community center, as it would not be fit for that. There was a station study completed in 2010, but he sent another email that said it wasn't 2010, it was 2020, that looked at a two-station model as one of many options. Those decisions was made, and I appreciate your email. Okay, and I'm gonna read this right quick. 1921, the destruction of Black Wall Street, Tulsa race massacre, if you heard about that, where the guy went into the elevator, was accused, he screamed, and then they wanted to hang him, but they didn't. And it started when, that. And the attackers burned and destroyed more than 35 square blocks of the neighborhood, at the time one of the wealthiest black communities in the United States. And the Tulsa race massacre in 1921 killed hundreds of residents, burned more than 1,250 homes, and erased years of black success. Now I'm talking about South Park. It wasn't just black, it's not just black people there. It's black, brown, white, pink, yellow. But those are all in South Park. Many storefronts used to be, grocery store used to be, a bank used to be, hotel used to be, barber shop, hair salon, roller skating, drug stores. Even in the field, Knoxville, we used to have car shows and different events in the thing, but now it's so small because of the two baseball fields. And you don't want us to put the stage on the baseball field, so we have to go to Lincoln Park to have our field day for the NAACP, because there's inadequate electricity on Knoxville for it, and like I said about the stage. So whenever the plan for South End came into being, which you all are following, y'all have your 5, 10, 20-year plans. I don't know what year they originated. That's what I'd like to know. When did the plan started, where you all have closing off the streets, not rebuilding what was in South Park before, giving pennies for property where houses once were, factories with emissions to kill us, building the factories around us. Where's our grocery store? Why? Who asked for a high-rise apartment where River District was? Why didn't you build a grocery store? Now you want to remove our fire department. What's next? It's time to explore your plans. Splash pad, playground, gazebo, and the place when you all came and met with us at the Reinvestment Center. You all knew that Kenny and them was proposing an industrial store, wanted to build a grocery store in the area, but you came to us, oh, what did you want? So we said splash pad for the kids so they wouldn't have to go way to Marysville, Lakeside Park. So that was a little undercover there. Nobody told us about the grocery store until way after that. So for South Park, what's your plan?
Excuse me, Ms. Bankston.
I'm going to continue.
Thank you. Sorry.
Let me put the smoke and fire out for a few minutes. My dad was a fireman. He died a fireman. What I'd like you to do is write down my name, because I'm not asking you to make a decision tonight. My first name is Gary, G-A-R-Y. The last name is Wickmiller, W-I-C-K-M-I-L-L-E-R. After being a young man and living in Cleveland, and my dad was a fireman, we moved to Michigan. We traveled all over the country. I chose Port Huron for my retirement. I loved its blue water. I loved its boats. And I've been here 15 years. Now I've got a suggestion. I'm getting old. I haven't done anything great for the last few years. I lived in Canada for 8 years and imported wines because they didn't trust Americans to do it, so they hired me to do it. But anyhow, here's it. Anybody been in the Navy? Like boats? There's a boat sale going on by the U.S. Navy. There's a boat called a littoral. Littoral. Look it up online. They're disposing of $1 billion of 12 of these. They're going to scrap them. That means they're going nowhere except to scrap them. I can get one cheap. What I don't have is a guarantee of dockage. The ship is going to look like a modern-day frigate. It's going to be about the size of our Coast Guard cutter. I want to land it somewhere around there. I know we have that little broken ship that people visit for $2 a day to look at, but I'm talking about a modern-day fighting vehicle that's made out of aluminum. The reason they're scrappy is they put so big a motor in it, it busts the frames. So the ship doesn't, it sinks. So anyways, but at dock, they're fine. If I get the ship, it comes without the engine. I'll just have land electricity and land water. But I'll have housing for 20 people, a kitchen, beds, and I'd like to use it for veterans. We don't have good housing for veterans in Port Huron. We do a lot of good things. Port Huron is a good town. But this is another great thing we could add to our Blue Water title. It's another thing we could add to a point of interest for Port Huron. And it's another thing we can do for our veterans. So after you think about it for a while, give me a call back within a week. If you can guarantee that I'll have dockage for this boat that's the same length as the Coast Guard cutter, let me know, because I'll call Gary Peters, who will then call the senators in Arizona who controls where these things go, either down under the water or we get one towed here and docked. I'll take care of the costs, but I need guaranteed dockage. End of story. Have a good night.
Thank you.
My name is Ginapora, 516 LaSalle, Port Huron, 48060. I am just returning to find out if there's been any progress on completing some sort of parking situation for the area west of Huron on Clay Street. We still have issues there, and people are still getting parking tickets. And I also wanted to address the rubbish situation along that same stretch. There's plenty of businesses there now. There's lots of foot traffic, more than there's probably been in 100 years here in Port Huron. We would like to, I know that the landlord in that area, that she says that the city of Port Huron is responsible for our collection and a receptacle for our refuse, but then the city of Port Huron says that our landlord is responsible. As you all may know, the landlord is quite elderly, and it's not easy to set up a meeting, but being the diplomatic person I am, I would love to somehow bring us together so that we can come up with a solution for us. We are really trying to beautify that area, and that the garbage situation is out of control for us. Other than that, if there's a way I can find out about the status of making the quay the one-way for the parking, and how I can set up a meeting with the city council, possibly Georgina Witt, but as I said, she's elderly and lives out near Yale, so that might not be that easy. There must be some way around it rather than, casting the responsibility on one or the other. We could definitely come up with a solution for the businesses there and to make it more beautiful for all the residents in Port Huron. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Randall Will. I am Red Louse. I'm at 1402 7th Street. I just came in here basically to bring the light to everybody here and everybody in the audience and watching, all our police officers and like real, true people that are for the people that kind of want to do the human genocide that's going on with the vaccines, all the disinformation that's being fed to us by our own government, lying to us, telling us that they're going to come up with the disinformation committee, but all they are is full of lies. I'm an info warrior. I've been watching InfoWars Today, the latest. I'm listening to doctors as well as a embalmer talking about how when he's been embalming all these bodies, because now they got a new thing, sudden death adult infant, sudden death infant adult syndrome, where people are just dropping dead. There's sudden death syndrome. We don't know how they're dying, but this guy that's embalming these people that have this condition, He's pulling out these nanostructures out of fucking people. And they're putting it under a microscope. And this is not like an accident. 'Cause if it was an accident, these people would be like, oh no, it's an accident. There's something in that vaccine that's killing people. It's not even a vaccine. It's a messenger RNA reverse transcriptase, but it's like synthetic. And it's causing your body to make these spike proteins, which are like aggregating and making this like structure. And people are getting these clots and falling over and dying. It's going to attack your immune system. You're going to get something that's like VAIDS, like worse than HIV. If you took it, it's in you, and it like put its DNA in you, and it's going to kill your immune system. The more and more you get this vaccine, the worse you're going to get. All kinds of people are dying. And I mean, you can go like, Agenda 2030. You guys can go look this up on Infowars, Band.video, listen to all the doctors. The doctor that actually discovered and invented this messenger RNA technology said it shouldn't be used this way. What we could be doing here is first we can be weeding out all these people that are here for the New World Order, these satanic gremlin demons that are trying to run us in the frickin' ground and kill us. Yeah, I know you all should know that fluoride is a level 4 neurotoxin, but you all still got it in our water. So we can easily find out who is with people in life and who's with Satan by who's going to stand up and take that shit out of our water. And then who of you guys are in the police are going to like maybe file some charges against Fauci and Bill Gates. You guys better not come to our city or you're going to jail and getting charged with murder. And how about the tree where they're flying and dumping chemicals over us that are poisons? And even their strategy, they want to block out the sun. I don't want to block out the sun. The more sun, that's more carbon that's going to get eaten up. That doesn't even make sense, but you just call it cloud seeding and not chemtrails. They've been doing this for years, weather modification, but they're really dumping all kinds of toxic chemicals in our air all freaking day. And then they lie to us and tell us we're delusional. We don't see those planes flying over the air for like 30 years. We're not doing it, but we're paying for it. We're paying for our poison in our water. We're paying for this poison being fucking dumped on us. We're paying for the poison vaccines. Vaccine companies aren't liable when people die. No, we gotta pay for it. If there is any recompensation for you people dropping dead or whatever injury you get from the AIDS, I could go on and on and on and on. But like basically what we could do is we could get the poison out of it.
Excuse me, sir.
We'll be thinking more clearly.
Unfortunately, your time is up.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
We'll be back, and people should start looking at this stuff because they're trying to kill you. Agenda 2030.
Hi, my name's Maria Gonzalez, and do you want me to say my address too?
Yes.
2026 Parkdale Drive, Port Huron, and I live about 30 seconds from the 24th Street Fire Station. Someone left a notice on my door that it was going to close. So I got that last week, and I immediately started doing my research. And I really want to thank Chief Nicholson because he gave me time on the telephone, and he sent me a 337-page study. So I read the first 7 pages, and I skimmed the next. But I did look at the pictures, okay? And well, so here's what I came down to. I want to know. Believe me, I looked up everything from racism and classism for the placement of fire stations and communities. I looked up women firefighters. I looked up response time, ideal response times. I looked up grant money, safer grants, assisting firefighters grants. Who got grants in Michigan? Who got over 1 million grants in Michigan? $1 million grants. I did a lot of homework in the last few days. And there's only 2 things that happened for me. I did come to find out that our firefighters are very stretched. I don't know if everyone knows that, but they are stretched to the max. I had no idea. I've been associated with fire departments when I was a young woman, way, way back in my past. And so I feel like they're stretched, and they do need the materials, they need the location, they need the accommodation to be treated with respect that they deserve. They need a lot of those things that the small station can't do. So then I went on to read the square footage, okay? So there's not enough room to build what they need at the 24th station, okay, location. But I don't think we need to take it out of South Park. I call it South Park. I'm still proud of South Park, South End. And so I'm wondering why it can't be placed closer to people instead of, it's such a far location that is surely going to impact response time. And I'll tell you, I don't want to be the one, nor my family, nor my home, to be the miner's canary for the response that took a little too long. 1 minute in firefighters' time, you guys, is an eternity, okay? And a lot can happen in 1 minute of time. Firefighters came to my rented home. I live in an apartment, but it's my home. And they responded to me and took care of me and such, and they came as fast as they could. That was last year sometime. My ticker wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. But I guess I want to know, is it firefighters you want us to support and raise money? Because if so, let's go raise the money. There's people in this room. You must all know people. I know people who could help us bring the money together. Is it that, or is it strictly for moving the location? What are the companies going to do in the industrial park? 41 companies, what are they going to do? They have hazardous materials. They have machinery that could hurt someone. And their employees, and what is the school going to do without the fire department? I really fear for the distance added on. A minute and a half is a big deal. It's a big deal, and I understand you have the mutual aid agreement. That's not enough. I just don't think that's enough. So give us more guidance, okay? Give us more guidance on what you really actually need. Because we're not going to attract more employers.
Your time is up.
More people.
Thank you.
The way it's going. So, thanks.
Thank you.
That gentleman's
Hello, my name is Ron Stewart. I live at 3120 North Range Road. I'm here today as the president of Main Street Memories Car Show. On behalf of the board of directors, I'd like to extend an invitation to all of you to attend our show, the 6th annual Wheels on the Waterfront Car Show at Atchison Ventures on July 30th from 10 to 4. This event is presented by Moran's Automotive and Foam All Spray Insulation. Diamond sponsors include Ford Performance, Cedar Hill Graphics, Straight Line Paint and Body, LaFontaine Classic Cars, and WGRT 102.3. We'd also like to thank Atchison Ventures and the Bay Mills Indian community for donating the use of their property. So last year was a huge success to us. We had 720 cars in attendance, thousands of enthusiasts together with the local businesses to support our community and the Council on Aging serving St. Clair County. This year we're anticipating about 900 cars to show up. So we are growing exponentially. We welcome all years, makes and models, cars, trucks, and even boats. If it has a motor, is unique or unusual, we want to see it at our show. This year we are featuring a tribute, 50th anniversary tribute to 1972. So we're inviting anybody with 72 to come and join us. So a little bit about us, it's a family-oriented event. This year we're looking to have the Salvation Army singing both the Canadian anthem and the national anthem. Last year we had a gentleman sing it a cappella. It was very good. We are working on having a 127th Wing of the Michigan Air National Guard from Selfridge perform a flyover tribute for the men and women who are serving or have served the military. So far we've attained 135 sponsors. 34 of them are from downtown businesses. We're looking at 70, possibly 70 displays, booths, and food trucks being down there, so there are things to do. The downtown businesses will be grouped together to help promote the downtown area. We're moving our food vendors and hospitality tent towards Desmond Landing to help promote the waterfront and also the farmers market over there. We have a new DJ this year. Salvation Army Cars and Kettles will be back with their exotic cars, so there'll be some vintage Porsches, McLarens, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and more. The Model T assembly team, who's been absent for a few years because of COVID and everything, will be coming back this year, doing 3 shows. Showtime Monster Truck will be there supporting wounded veterans with the Monster Truck display. The Council on Aging will have things such as a scavenger hunt, 50-50 raffle, and door prizes. So our donations support the Council on Aging. In the past 5 years, we have raised just under $82,000 for them. This money goes to supporting the senior citizens of St. Clair County. And as you know, the senior citizens are an important part of our community, and the COA makes good use of the proceeds, providing transportation, meals, activities, and more for our seniors. Our mission statement reads to host a world-class car show in beautiful downtown Port Huron that brings car enthusiasts together with local businesses, support our community, and charity. The foundational purpose behind our event is to bring people back downtown Port Huron. We want people to enjoy what the city has to offer and to enjoy and support the local businesses. We take it very seriously, and we dedicate thousands of hours of voluntary hours each year into marketing and organizing this event. So it's our shared desire to keep this event in Port Huron. Area businesses have come out overwhelming support. So we'd like to thank you once more for support, something we not take lightly, and very much appreciated by everybody on the board. So as we continue to grow.
Excuse me, Mr. Stewart, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Julian Ruck, 1423 Lapeer Avenue. As many of you know, is a free food garden that I've been cultivating for into the 2nd season now. This morning I took some more food to the soup kitchen. I first came to the city council 2 years ago asking for urban agriculture zoning. And what a whirlwind it has been since. That's all I wanted. And they have it in Detroit, as I said at that meeting. Have it in Ann Arbor. There's even a template from MSU Extension that gives you a spoon-fed, step-by-step, how you can incorporate urban ag zoning into your city and community. I did that when COVID hit because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that $2, $3, $4, $5 tomatoes were coming. And so I started growing food, and I started teaching the neighborhood how to grow food. And I'm still trying to teach the neighborhood how to grow food. And I wanted that zoning for protection because I didn't want to have to worry about whether someone in a position of authority just didn't like what we were doing, which has happened. We've been kneecapped 3 times now from blight. 3 times. And the first time Don Egypt said to me, "That's why you don't garden in the city." In the same season that the city gave away seeds to the community. So it came down, as I expected, as I anticipated, to a person in authority not liking it. And so I kept reaching out, as you've heard me speak about before, to James Freed, trying to get James Freed on board, and in person, in one meeting, it was great. And then absolutely nothing afterwards. Dozens of emails sent, nothing. Emails CC'd to Cynthia Cutright, to David Haynes. When I spoke to David Haynes at the planning department meeting, going to it, he just said, "Well, you can garden. It's fine. You can do it." I said, I know I can. But that doesn't stop the fact that I then have to go defend it because one person, the blight department, Don Egypt, often known as the town bully, is out there citing us just because he doesn't like it. You know, and now I see that they have repurposed police cars for code enforcement. It's an intimidation factor. The whole blight department shouldn't exist in the first place. Whipping poor people into compliance by fining them and taking them away from their jobs to defend a torn screen or paint on their house that they can't get to yet doesn't help anybody. And in this community, I have seen city leadership repeatedly punish the poor. The more you invest only in downtown and hope success is just going to grow out, I can tell you from having lived in major cities all over the country, that's not how that works. Poor people are not afford to move. They become the homeless, the addicted, the traumatized, the violent, the criminal. One thing I believe Chief Platzer and I have in common, we've never spoken directly, is I believe we put a safe and secure Port Huron as a priority number one. And when I talk to officers on the beat and I say, do you feel like more gardens in this community, more free food gardens, makes your job safer in the long run? They all agree, yes, it would. So what's missing? What's the missing ingredient? Freed hasn't helped us. It's your job to oversee his actions. It's a very simple thing I'm asking, and it's for the betterment upriver so that downriver the police aren't having to deal with crime on a level that Port Huron has truly never seen before today.
Is there anyone else wishing to address City Council this evening?
First of all, I want to thank the City Council for having a constituent from the South End here, because I don't see our northern constituents. My name is Marcus Williams, and I'm a lifelong resident of Port Huron, and I see great things happening in Port Huron. But I live on the South End, and I represent the South End. I'm a civil rights rep for the state of Michigan also. So I see a lot of good things, and I commend the diversity of our new police force. I didn't see any women or men of color, but I saw diversity of women. I appreciate that. But also bring to mind that the City Council brought the people here on the pretense that something was taking place on the South End that was more urgent. And then we get here and we find out from City Manager Freed it's not going to happen, which is a great blessing to the people who live on the South End. I think that's great. And I think the City Council saw where that it was needed, the geographic, where it was set up, because we're up against the wall. Our city cuts off at Moat, well, basically right there on Ravenswood Road, Marysville. So we have a contingent of factories, and you continue building them, and you're going to need that fire department. I respect that you're going to remodel, because I have a friend that's a retired officer, fireman. I'm going to speak his name. He was highly decorated, Delbert Bates. That's my closest friend. And he served the community as a fireman. And I respect him. And I respect the firemen that fight the fires. I respect the older gentleman that got up here and said he will donate something that the city would look at for the South End. I appreciate that, because the South End does need to be built up besides factories. It needs some homes. Doesn't need any more apartments. It needs no more apartments. Build some homes. Find the land to build some homes for single working people. They're only making $18, $19 an hour, but they're trying. They are trying. They're working hard. Let the people work hard, continue to work hard on that end of town. I travel all through this town because I was raised here. And I don't expect to be stopped because what are you doing in my neighborhood? Hey, I go to Forest all the time. I don't expect it, but I respect it. Respect the people on the South End. That's all we ask. We don't ask for anything else. We just ask that you respect us like you respect the rest of the city. I see great things going around the city. I love it. I'm born and raised here. I commute out of this community to travel to work. And I work in a highly minority community. So I respect this. I get a lot of feedback. Hey, what they doing up there? They have the Blue Water Festival, Mackinac Race. Beautiful. People love it. I get a lot of feedback. They respect the city. I want you guys, as my city council representative, respect the South End also. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Williams, and it seems like I'm starting to have to come to these meetings more often because at 2310 Ashland Court, and that was my husband too. Coming to these meetings quite often now. Again, a couple of weeks ago, you had a flight officer from the North End come up and give me a ticket on the South End because he thought I had a broken out window and I had a screen that was just messed up a little bit. I wanted to address that again before I go to the fire station thing. If you're going to come and give people blight tickets for a ripped out screen, how about handing them a $50 voucher to go up to Hobby Lobby, not Hobby Lobby, that's my place, but Home Depot or Lowe's or Menards to address the issue and say, hey, we see something happening, let's fix it ahead of time before it gets worse. My home looks nice, and the man told me that they're just trying to keep up the city. I'm still not pleased with that, and I'm asking the mayor and Freed, please get that off my record, because when I decide to run for mayor of Port Huron, I don't want nobody saying that I keep a blight home, because I don't. So I'm asking you again, please get that off my record. Rescind that ticket. I'm asking for that. And drive by my house and see how it looks. Fire station. When my mother passed, the fire station was the first people there to console us, brought her back long enough for us to be able to say goodbye to her. Because even though she was expected to die, she wasn't expected to die on that day. But the fire department was there. They comforted us. They took care of our family until the EMS could get there and work on our mother. So the fire department normally is the first people that show up to help in South Park, whether it be a fire, whether it be a car accident, whether it be whatever it is. Before the police get there, half the time the fire department is already there, working on whatever the situation is. To remove our fire station from our area would be a crime. The houses are, like you've heard already, the houses are over 100 years old in that area. My house is probably about maybe $150,000, $180,000 home. The homes on the North End are probably $500,000 to $1 million. Who are you going to go get if you build a fire station away from my home? Whose home are you going to come and save first? The $500,000 home or the $150,000 home? If that big church down there on the North End, if it catches a fire, Colonial Woods, if it catches a fire and you have to address that fire, and then a historic Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church catches a fire, which one are you going to go take care of first? You're going to take care of that big old mega church down there. You're going to take care of that first. So that's why I'm asking you, please don't mess with our fire station there. We need them there. If you need to expand, the best thing I could suggest to do, and I'm very much for children, but there's a playground there that doesn't serve very much purpose. Use that playground to build for the fire station, to expand the fire station if needed. But please don't remove our fire station. And
Excuse me, Mary, your time is up.
White Park is not a part of South Park.
Thank you.
And one more thing, if you want to give money away to somebody, if you have extra money, give it to Tyrone Burrell so he can...
Thank you, Mary. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council this evening? Seeing no one, I declare public audience closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved.
I think Terry was first on it, correct?
Councilmember Lamb and Councilmember Ashford? The clerk will take the roll.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald?
Yes. Items under the consent agenda include receive and file notification that Scott Ermy has been reappointed by the city manager of the Port Huron Housing Commission with a term to expire on June 30th, 2027. Recommendation that the application of McCullum's Harvest LLC for a new off-premises tasting room permit to be located at 901 4th Street be approved by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. Scheduling a public hearing for June 27, 2022 to hear comments from all persons interested in the maintenance cost of the Huron Avenue Streetscape project from the north side of Black River to the south side of McMorran Boulevard, and approving the various resolutions for the declaration of and preparation of a special assessment roll and other matters associated with the special assessment district. Scheduling a public hearing for June 27, 2022 to hear comments from all persons interested in the maintenance cost of the Military Street Streetscape project from the south side of Black River to the north side of Court Street, and approving the various resolutions for the declaration of and preparation of a special assessment roll and other matters associated with the special assessment district. Authorizing the rescheduling of the July Board of Review to the alternate date of Thursday, July 21, 2022. Confirming and approving single lot of special assessments for fines, assessments, and/or the cost of removing blight, blighting factors and/or causes of blight, as well as the abatement of nuisances, and authorizing the levy of the operating tax rate for the Blue Water Area Transportation Commission as authorized by the voters on May 5th, 2020 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022. We will move on to resolutions. If the clerk would read resolution number 1, please.
Authorizing 17 payments.
Do we have a motion?
So move. Support.
Councilmember Mosrak and Councilmember Pemberton. Any discussion?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yeah, I just like you, I just noticed, change orders, number, I'm sorry. Change order of these three, 110, the Newton Crane Roofing. There was an increase, all of them are increases, and I just wanted to are you prepared to speak to any of them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the Newton Crane system was we added some additional roofing to the parking meter garage, which was also in disrepair, and so we expanded the scope just slightly to cover that. It's cheaper to expand the scope than have to create a whole new project.
So you had to get into it in order to
Correct. Once we got in there, we knew.
determine that you had to go further.
Correct.
Okay, that was one. And then also 113, the Weiss Construction LLC, the grid system improvement.
Yes, once we got, let me pull up the 113. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. But I did read it where it says unforeseen work, but I just need to hear what's behind
correct.
that.
So, hang on, let me find it. Yes, so when they got into the bottom of the grid system, there's additional engineering and structural services through the tank that had to be done, as well as some pipe replacement and concrete work.
Okay.
So once we got in there, you started to realize just how bad it deteriorated, and so we had to expand that scope.
Okay, so that was an increase. And then last one is 117, the LaSalle Group, and that's to make more Place Plaza improvement.
Correct. That was for additional concrete, additional electrical and engineering, and also the splash pad component as well.
Oh, okay. So just the construction of.
Yeah,
so
material.
we didn't add anything.
From when we bid it out to when it actually got done, there was a lot of material costs because of the market conditions, and so that was rolled into it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem.
Any other discussion? The clerk will take the roll.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Yes. Resolution number 2, please.
Approving the agreement with Plant and Moran PLLC Certified Public Accountants to conduct the audit for 3 fiscal years.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton and Councilmember Ashford. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, this is probably one of the finest auditing firms in the state. This is about 20% more than we previously paid. There's 2 reasons for that. One, there was changes in the Gadsby accounting standards, which are much more complex, specifically regarding pensions and unfunded liabilities that require more field time. Also, we have the ARP funds that are now flowing through our operations that increase our operating budget in the near term. And so in the long term, we could see this plateau out, but they have to account for those additional workloads.
Okay, and I think they also added the COVID-19 grants, so all that has to
Correct.
be figured into that.
Correct.
Because normally, even though this is an annual audit, that all those other variables weren't
Yeah, this is
part of this, so this is.
correct. Those are
this
new
is where-
outliers
yeah.
put into it.
Yeah,
So hopefully, I mean, in 3 to 4 years, we should see that plateau.
yeah, okay.
Also, they also noted that just like the worker shortage, they can't find accountants and field auditors. And so they're having to pay people to drive further and higher wages as well to attract talent.
Yeah, they did a good job of explaining why they had to do that, so, okay.
Any further discussion? Clerk will take the roll.
Councilmember Mosrak,
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Yes. Resolution number 3.
Approving the amendment to the agreement with Partners in Architecture, PLC, for professional architectural and design services for the proposed fire station at White Park and renovations at Sanborn Street Fire Station number 3.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember Mosrak, second.
Support.
Councilmember Pemberton. Discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, what you have here is, this is the same architectural firm that did our design. Typically, this would have been in the original contract. But because we didn't know if we were going to, enhance Station 3, we didn't know what we were going to do, so there was no way we would sign an actual construction component as part of that original agreement. Because we didn't know. We didn't know what the budget would be. We didn't know if we could afford to do it. And so now that we have a budgeted amount, now that we have an RFP for a contract manager to begin this project, you have to have the folks that design the changes to have a role in the construction itself to oversight it. So this takes the architects who've done just a tremendous job working on the rehab of Station 3 to really be cost proactive in their design. You're not getting the Taj Mahal, but we are getting the Chevy. So that's why we're bringing this component to the construction. It all goes hand in hand with the next 3 contracts. These will also be the folks that will oversee the architectural work when the construction of a new central station, should you authorize that in a few months.
Councilmember, I think we need to listen to him first.
I'm here for any and all inquiries.
I think he's here for the next contract, the next item.
You're just
He's here for.
Well, I'll save it for the next one. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I will say before we get started, Chief Nicholson is a firefighter by trade. He is, I call him Rain Man because he's highly analytical, highly data driven. It's the reason why he got his job. He has done a tremendous job working with these contracts, working with our legal counsel to negotiate these contracts, putting out architectural RFPs, evaluating architectural RFPs, working on contracts for building and rehabbing fire stations. This was not something that was covered in Fire 1, Fire 2. So he's really done a tremendous job of working and doing a great job putting this together, so I can't thank him enough.
Any further discussion or questions on resolution number 3? The clerk will take the roll.
Councilmember Pemberton,
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford,
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Yes. Resolution number 4.
Approving the agreement with the Daily Company for professional construction management services for the proposed fire station at White Park and renovations at the Sanborn Street Fire Station number 3.
So move.
Support?
Councilmember Ashford and Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, we have worked with our legal counsel. This is a standard agreement for a project manager, for a construction manager. And so the next step is we get an agreement with the construction manager on how that relationship's going to work, how they'll bill us, how they'll do their subcontractors, how they'll do the bidding. That's what this is. And then the next contract will be the actual contract for Station 3. I want Chief to speak in depth quickly about the request for qualifications process. This just wasn't some firm we picked off the street. We solicited qualifications. We evaluated those firms. We investigated those firms. Our legal counsel investigated those firms to see if there's any previous litigation for other projects around the state. Chief Nicholson, if you could speak to that.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, the city issued an RFP/RFQ for construction management services. In total, we received 6 submissions. They were evaluated on the basis of individual experience of the company, their capacity to take on the work over a multi-year schedule, their overall cost, and their plan to not only complete this renovation of Station 3, hopefully before the winter, but also plan a cost-effective method to possibly build a new station at White Park. As the city manager mentioned, legal counsel investigated any possibility of prior litigation amongst any of the firms. We were happy with our results. We conducted interviews. These are all been vetted in addition by the architectural firm that we're using for architectural engineering services. So they all work hand in hand during this process. So the architect, Partners in Architecture, had worked with Daley before in Commerce Township on the fire station build and in Canton Township. So I'm very confident they're going to be able to manage the progress in the project. They have 2 roles. One is to provide pre-construction consultation services to evaluate constructability because of all the long lead times and problems securing skilled labor. It's going to be very important that we make correct decisions in the pre-bid process in order to come in on budget and on time. And then they will manage the totality of the Station 3 renovation and possibly the construction of the new central station. So these are very large projects. The city does not have the capacity to handle these projects, say, like we would in the 1960s. These are the subject matter experts, and it's well worth the time and investment.
I will say we had a meeting with this firm and our chief and our legal counsel, and with the Partners and Architect, and they were wildly sharp, just wildly sharp.
Any further discussion or questions?
Yeah, since we're on this, Chief, I'd like to join join a public hearing. Mrs. Gonzalez thanked you, and it's very well deserved. And I know you have put a lot into this, to the study and just, doing whatever you can, you and your staff and whomever put this together. And like she said, 300-something pages was this whole study, and I did take the time for the first 20 or 30 pages. I did read and read it in depth, and just trying to just package this whole thing with the fire station number 4. We're going to close it, whatever. I was just as surprised as they were. You know what? I got out of church. I mean, where was I? I don't know. I was going to take my grandson, who they stay in South Park, and I saw this flyer on my granddaughter's porch. I mean, on my daughter's porch, and it said it was closed. I said, "Dang, we didn't know about this." And I called James, and right away I said, "James, what the heck is going on? This is the first I know about it, And I asked my daughter. She didn't know. She just, she said, "Well, you took it off my porch. I couldn't read it, and nothing else was on it." So I was just quite concerned. And tonight I'm collectively as concerned as sometimes. I mean, the focus was there. It was kind of all over the place. We were all over the map tonight, with this conversation. And I think as a council member and as leaders of this community, when you have issues, just so mammoth like this, you would think we would have some kind of a meeting, you know, we could set up a town hall meeting or something to explain this, because there's a lot here, and it's knowledge, you know, knowledge is power, and some things that they need to be, you know, in the know on. You know, I'm not saying they have to make the final decision, because that's us as a council and with the city manager, that is our job. And number one, and you don't play, I can't think of anything that's so important for this city. The police, our essential workers, our fire, and our water. I mean, these are standard things that we need to really be, you know, regardless of what you say or how you feel, we're not gonna make everybody happy. But we have a job to do, and we have to make those decisions. But I would rather make these decisions knowing that we have engaged the people to the point that you know what we know, but at the end of the day, we still have to make it in terms of cost and what is really practical, you know, for an entire city, you know. So I just think it's some appreciation that needs to be out there. Some call it respect, and I would say respect too. You know, and that is showing respect as leaders, that we should set something up. You should think about that. You know, you know, we're his boss or whatever say, but I would highly recommend that we set something up, you know, so you can just lay it out, you know, what does this entail, what we're trying to do, what we need to do. And I've been to the fire station. I know it's falling to pieces, and we can't have that. And I know there's a lot of updates to fire apparatus and stuff to do that. And I know the 3 things that you do, you know, the medical, when you go out there, it's not just the fires you're fighting, everything. I know you did a great work with the response time. I read the response time, you know, because they're thinking one thing that we can't get there because you're over here in the south end or north end or whatever. But I think all these, all this need to be communicated. You know, we need to do a better job of communicating, you know, when we get this. You know, it's not just ours, it's the people we serve that need to know this.
Thank you for that. One of the things we're doing is, I think it's important to note, is we're not making any decisions with Station 4. So if we ever got to that point, which by the way, we don't know if we will. The fact of the matter is, Chief's understaffed. We need to hire more firefighters. We need to hire more firefighters now. Right. I've met with the fire union this morning. We're going to work on that now. We have some retirements coming up in the next 2 years. We cannot have someone retire and then bring a trainee on. We need to start hiring people now in anticipation of that roster strength being diluted. So it is our intention to boost roster strength. We'll need to boost it more, probably 3 to 6 more in the next couple of years, especially when we put a new station on, to provide that protection. And so before we ever even consider changes to a 2 or 3 model station, there will be a community engagement session to talk, to understand their concerns, what they want to see. But the fact is we're not there yet. We're addressing just the structural needs of our 2 facilities. We may never have to talk about Station 4. My hope is we never have to talk about Station 4. I see a pathway, after meeting with the fire union today, I see a pathway to make that happen. And so hopefully we never have to have that conversation. That's my goal.
Yeah, well, that may be your goal, but tonight it was their goal.
Understood. Message received.
And so you don't want to wait just because something's going to happen. We already know it's there in progress. You don't wait to fall in love on one day.
Correct.
So you need to do something out of respect and need to answer in such a way that there's some things that we can come across that, you know.
We'll make that happen.
Yeah, and you need to make that happen.
Any further discussion? Before we take the vote, James, I would ask, especially since so many people did talk about this, and it does reference, there's several things on here that reference the central fire station, or what would be the proposed station at White Park. For clarification and transparency of the steps, what are we doing tonight?
Okay.
What's the next step, and how will that look, so that they all understand?
So what we're doing tonight is we're engaging the architectural firm to provide architectural services during construction. We're also engaging a construction manager to oversee the construction. We want a professional making sure that we're getting the best deal, getting everything's done right, the bids are done right for Station 3. This also gives us the option that should we go to bid and the numbers come in good, that we can use these same groups for the construction of a new central fire station. So there's no point in reinventing the wheel, engaging all new contracts for a new central fire station when these folks can do it. So we have the design for, we're working through the design for a new central fire station. We should have that ready for bid in the next couple of months. Once those numbers come in, that's when we have actionable intelligence for the council to begin making decisions.
Thank you for that. Any discussion now? Clerk can take the roll.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald?
Yes. Resolution number 5.
Approving the authorizing the Daily Company to solicit and process subcontractor and vendor bids and to proceed with the renovation and rehabilitation of Fire Station Number 3 located at 1914 Sanborn Street with an estimated cost to not exceed $1,521,759.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Councilmember Mosrak and Ashford.
Madam Mayor and Council, we have a station that was built in the 60s, and due to economic downturns, due to unfunded liabilities, due to just economic challenges, we have not been able to maintain our facilities. And I walked into Station 3 and you walk into Central Station and they're clearly dilapidated. There's water coming in. They have old bathrooms. They haven't been upgraded. I have never heard a complaint from a Port Huron firefighter. In all these years, they've never complained about their facilities. They come to work, they do their jobs with distinction, and they have never complained about their facilities. We have a once-in-a-generational opportunity to begin investing in these key assets. We'll begin with Station 3. We'll look at a new central station. No changes at Station 4. We're not looking at closing those. And this is a not to exceed $1.5 million for the rehabilitation of Station 3 to make it have new living quarters, new bathrooms, built for a 21st century department, new upgrades to HVAC, the roof, which I saw a video today, had hundreds of gallons of water on it. We have struggled with ice jams there. To really bring our facility up to a modern facility. Now, this does have a lot of contingency built in because these are some crazy market conditions. And so we've been very conservative with our numbers. We feel good about this number. We will use lost revenue funding through the American Rescue Plan dollars to invest in these facilities. Chief has worked incredibly diligent with the architects to get the most value engineering. Meaning they looked at that space, and I believe Chief has on the screen, if you can show us, he'll go over his before and his after. I want to thank his work on, being frugal. We knew this had to be done, and what he's asking for here is pretty modest request, but necessary request. So I'll let Chief go through that. But again, it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to begin investing back into our fire department and our fire system.
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, as the city manager stated, Station Number 3 was constructed in 1965. It was originally designed for 2 gasoline power plant fire engines. They were 60% of the size of the vehicles we have now. It was designed for 3 male firefighters. Since 1965, the only real improvements have been performed by the firefighters themselves. With the exception of things that have exceeded their life expectancy and broken, they have been replaced. Over time, vehicle exhaust systems have been added, but largely the space exists as it did in 1965. So this renovation will encompass the living quarters, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. And what will happen is we will reconfigure the space to provide separate dorm rooms for all the firefighters, 2 separate bathrooms. Right now, only 1 firefighter can take a shower at a time. Even though one of the main dangers to firefighter health is their exposure to carcinogens and being quickly decontaminated after a fire. They can't do that now. Reconfiguration of the office space, updating the original 1965 kitchen, and then we'll move into some basically non-fun items, but they need to be done. Upgrading the 20-year-old vehicle exhaust system, switching over from a boiler system for heat to gas-fired air, fixing some terrazzo flooring that is settling because of the weight of the fire apparatus, structural damage to concrete members because of spalling, because of freeze-thaw conditions, a new roof, a new alerting system in the station for calls. They will actually turn the gas valves off to the stoves when a call comes in. Just a myriad of improvements of the fire detection. There are no fire alarms in that station. So if an apparatus for unforeseen circumstances which catch on fire in the middle of the night, firefighters wouldn't know about it until they smelled smoke. That's how far back in the past we are. There'll be a partial sprinkler system addition for protection in the building. So this will move at least half of the building forward as far as improvements. Eventually, if we want to maintain this facility at some point in the future, we're going to have to revisit. But this will modernize at least one half of the operation at Station 3 and stabilize some of the structural conditions on the apparatus bay side. The price that was brought before you is the last best estimate between the architect's final look on the pricing and the construction management company's opinion. Once these bids go out, after 100% of bid submission from the subcontractors, there will be a guaranteed maximum price established. Any other cost overruns that aren't of our doing, of our choosing, will be on the construction management company. So that's part of our best efforts to control price on this. So we're expecting to go out, if this is approved tonight, to have the bids published as early as tomorrow to get ahead of this. Because time is not on our side. I have to get those fire apparatus back in the building before winter. The firefighters will actually be moved to a single wide trailer next to the building, and they will be in temporary quarters from August, hopefully back in the building by late November, early December. And then we'll be back in normal operation before Christmas.
Chief, thank you. Again, I can't stress, this looks very well buttoned up here tonight and very simple process. Chief has spent hundreds of hours working with these firms to get to where we are today. He brings a good point up. You know, one of the things Chief and I talked about was these stations were built in 1965. We have materials now, everything from your Amazon packages to plastics to materials that we've invented in the last 50, 60 years that are carcinogens when they burn. And these firefighters need to get back to the station and get washed up as quick as possible to get these carcinogens off them. When you have people waiting for a bathroom and you have female firefighters waiting for a bathroom, every minute hurts them. And so by upgrading these facilities, we're thinking about the long term. They call it the black boot syndrome, where you don't die in a fire, but you get cancer when you're 60. And that's why firefighters have a lot less life expectancy than the average American. They're not just sacrificing lower wages, but they're sacrificing years off their life serving this community. And so that's why these types of projects are important.
I agree. You get the fluoride out.
Any other discussion from council?
So just really all three of the stations are over 60-something years old. Good Lord, and the asbestos probably is a...
Asbestos is removed.
We have ACM material in the building right now. That's not abnormal. That's not an abnormal problem in a building of its age, but that's one of the first things that needs to be taken care of is that abatement before we can even get into demolition.
My goodness. Boy, that's...
Any other discussion?
No, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I just have a comment. I was going to wait till the end, but I know several of you have left, so I just want to thank all of you for coming forward tonight, expressing your concerns about the fire station. As you heard Councilmember Ashford talk about, there would be some type of a public meeting, so if or when or ever, I assure you all of us up here feel the same way. Never would there be consideration of closing Station 4 without having some type of a public hearing where all of you would be invited to air your concerns and at least hear what the plan may be, the proposed plan. Have there been plans tossed around and options tossed around? Absolutely in the past. However, that doesn't mean that anyone had planned to do that. So again, I appreciate you coming forward. I assure you, you've heard from Councilmember Ashford, not myself. I won't speak for the rest, but I know they all feel the same way. We would never do something like that without having some type of neighborhood public comment period, multiple ones, to be honest, to talk to you about it, and it is nowhere on our radar.
Mayor Pro Tem Marshall, if I could add as well, it's kind of rare that you have a public comment session that goes for an hour, and I don't disagree with anything that was said. Your concerns you bring up, your points you bring up are all legitimate, and they're all true and accurate. And those are all things that would ever have to be considered. So this is nothing that we're going to be tackling in the next couple of years. And so I appreciate your bringing your points and your concerns. I also can tell you this, I know that the fire department appreciated you guys having their back, and we understand that. And so I did talk to the folks today about that. And so I appreciate your efforts. There's one thing about the south side, you can't ignore you. So we appreciate that.
Nor should we.
Nope.
Anyone?
Mayor Pro Tem, I don't want to belabor it, but I do also want to make a comment. A few comments, actually. I think it's easy for situations like this. I think a couple comments were made. There were a couple comments during public comment that I have to disagree with. I think a couple comments were made, and it's easy for this to happen in a scenario like this when misinformation gets out there, miscommunication happens, and it becomes a north side, south side. It becomes a you don't live here situation, right? And it becomes that comment makes it easy to disregard the reality that we all know to be true, that we all have friends and family on both sides of town. And to, when something comes up like this, for it to easily, it's understandable why it becomes emotional and becomes like that, but it's a complete fallacy. I can say when I joined council a few years back now, obviously coming up on re-election this year, but I remember one of the first things I got to do was a ride along, fire department, right? I was excited. So I'm thinking like, this is going to be cool. I'm going to go ride in a fire truck, right? That was cool, and it was pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. Got to wear the headset, got to do all the cool fireman things that I wanted to do since I was a little kid. But then I spent the other half of the day, and I got to tour every single station. And I got to learn about every station's role in its community, in their part of the community. And I got to sit down with Rain Man, as Mr. Freed called him. And I got to spend a part of my day in front of a computer screen looking at a ridiculous amount of data and technology that we now have that shows response times. I got to learn about all of the response times. Like it was said in public comment about the fact that, seconds count, minutes are, a whole nother level. And as I got to learn all of this, I did get to learn about each station's problems and the falling apart, but I got to learn things that it's not just a matter of where the station's located, but what apparatus can fit in the station. Like, we can't put this type of fire truck in this station. I didn't even know there were that many different types of fire trucks, right? The things you don't know if you're not a fireman. And so as I got to learn all of this, I just want to, again, commend Chief here that even when, a few months later, some of these ideas came up and we needed to do a study and start, obviously, one of the first questions I asked after visiting all the stations, and some of them are falling apart, my question is, what are we doing about that, right? And so as these options came up, each of the council members got to sit down with the chief and with the city manager. We got to look at the whole proposal, the 337-page. This was the proposal to get that 337-page document, right? And we got to review all the data again. Some of the stuff I got to learn on my ride along, and some of it the chief had put together for this scenario. And they had given us an initial, kind of pre-report synopsis of things that they could do and things that were options. And I remember even asking the chief, so what do you want to have happen? That's what, I know we're going to do this whole study, but what do you want to have happen? And again, to his credit, he said, I want to know I want to give this firm all of this data and find out what I want to have happen. I'm like, yeah, but do you want to close the central station? Do you want to build a new one? Do you think it's salvageable? He said, I want to get the data so that we can make the best decision. And it wasn't a personal thing. And so I know for all of us up here, again, the reason I say it's not a north side, south side. No one on this council, and I know each one of these people personally, no one here is looking at this as a political situation. No one is looking at this. I'll tell you what, if the study came back and said that station, that we could do a better response time from White Park than we could from 24th Street, I don't care how politically terrible it would be, I would move to try to close that station if that was the best response, if that was the best thing that our citizens and our fire department needed. And I want you to know, and I know it's easy for, you know, everything to get misconstrued, but I can guarantee you 100% every single person on this council has that in mind. And nothing is being done without looking at data, and nothing is being done based on how loud the South Side is or isn't, or who lives there or who doesn't. Everything that we're looking at with this is being made with data, and even to the fire chief, it's not being made on his personal preference or the preference of the guys and gals who want a new station or anything like that. This is the amount of money and data that has gone into this is significant. And then one other comment I just want to make. I know it's easy. You know, when I'm not a councilman, I'm a marketing guy. And I know that in my day job, a lot of times communication, again, it's always going to be our downfall. We've done all we could to try, you know, nothing with this was trying to be put, you know, behind the scenes or anything like that. And, you know, as Mayor Pro Tem said, you know, there was nothing to have another public meeting on because we were all as surprised to see the post on Facebook and everything else. What, we're closing station? You know, we were all just as surprised, so there's nothing to have a meeting on. And I think sometimes, again, learning the things I have in the last few years, even when you made mention of your email to Mr. Freed, and he said, no, there's no plan. And it seemed like you know, why are you telling me there's nothing going on when clearly there's stuff going on? It's easy, kind of the lingo that again you learn. A plan is a very different thing than a proposal. And it's not, and you know, sometimes we miss that and we don't communicate well when we say, okay, hey, there was this thing that happened here. And again, we do our best, but I know it wasn't the city manager's intent, and nor was it the mayor's when she mailed back to just dismiss it as, you know, we don't know why this is why there's any question that there would ever be anything. We understand that there was a report that was made that had many different proposals on it. What we didn't know is how you know, far the misinformation had spread and kind of how we ended up here. So again, sorry to belabor it, but I just wanted to make a few of those comments there that I thought were important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm sorry. We're trying to close the meeting. Comments you made, but the only thing I would just like to say is that in terms of when I said that we do need to communicate, you know, maybe we're not there, we're still in a planning stage, but when you listen to people, you listen to what they're saying, you know, you might not want to accept it or anything, but there was a lot of opportunity for growth out here and for information to be exchanged, you know, for them to understand. I mean, this is not the only time. They may be in here for Station 4 today, but they're still very much a part of the city of Port Huron. So, and I got that, you know, I'm not, you know, south side, north side, this is, you know, we're the city of Port Huron. We actually are supposed to, we service our whole entire city. But to the point that they were making tonight is that's how it has been. You know, they have a track record of feeling left out. That's why it's more important now, more so than ever today, to show that we're not that yesterday of what they've been getting. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a day they call inclusion. That's what we mean when we talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it doesn't have to just be that. A lot was being said, but we have the opportunity to close that delta, that gap. So, you know, while you may not have lived it, you just like you said, you got on board and you were learning things, and this is a part of that. You know, we have to reach and bring them closer to understand where we're coming from, because that's why we got elected.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
I started something.
Yeah, no, this is just real quick. One of the people who emailed me about the fire station issue also said the top park needed looked at behind the fire station. I want you to know that I met with our Parks and Recreation Department. We signed additional contracts that have that mowed. We're struggling to get it mowed on a regular basis. But the equipment in the terms of Nancy is janky. And so we are looking to source new equipment. We hope to have it in this year. But there's a huge shortage of equipment across the country right now. But I did authorize Nancy to immediately purchase a piece of equipment if she can and get it installed. We're hopeful we can get it in sometime before fall. Someone commented there's not a lot of people who use the park. We've realized when we invest in our parks, more people use them, so that will be part of the plan as well.
Can I just say, they might mow it.
I'm sorry, we don't interact with
Well, we have needles in
that time has passed.
too.
You can talk to him after, though.
Okay.
Okay.
I will.
The clerk will take the roll, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald?
Yes. We'll move on to ordinances. We have one. If the clerk would please read.
First reading, an ordinance to amend Chapter 26, floodplain management provisions of the State Construction Code of the Port Huron Code of Ordinances for the purpose of updating the chapter to adopt new floodplain maps.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember
Support.
Ashford, Councilmember Pemberton. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, we do not make the maps. FEMA makes the maps. I will tell folks, this is kind of like a small blip on updating the FEMA maps, but some homes that were not in the floodplain will now be in the floodplain. And so for homeowners insurance purposes, please, email us, get a copy of the floodplain, consult with your homeowners insurance. I don't want people to get sticker shock when they get their renewal and all of a sudden they weren't in a floodplain and they are in a floodplain. The reason why I mention this is we don't make this decision. FEMA gives us the map and designates the floodplain. They're not major changes, but if I live just outside of a floodplain and next thing you know I'm in it, I'd be kind of upset. So Jackie left before the news got good, but it's important for folks to just please call us if you need some help assisting you. We can look at the maps with you and get you educated. I just don't want anyone to be surprised. I'd be upset if I was surprised.
Are they notified?
I think FEMA may do something, but we certainly will try to get something out as well.
Oh, okay.
Caleb's still here to inform the people.
There we go. There's one true journalist left.
Tell them, Caleb.
Typically, they do notify you. Any other comments? Clerk will take the roll, please.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald?
Yes. That concludes the business of our regular meeting. Does anyone on council have anything they would like to mention or bring up? Hearing and seeing none, I will ask for an adjournment.
So move.
Thank you, Councilmember Ashford. Yes, meeting closed.